I can say concerning this great gospel singer in our midst, our dear friend, my great friend Mahalia Jackson, that a voice like this comes only once in a millennium. If there is any doubt in anybody's mind concerning whether we have a movement here in Chicago, you ought to be in this church tonight.
He's like a veteran poet in the Boston poetry scene. He does one set at the Milky Way called the
If you can feel it, you can speak it.
All right. So the first poet up to the mic is going to be D.Ruff. So give it up for D.Ruff.
Let's go, please! I should be smiling like that. Yes, sir. And you are.
I am D.Ruff, poet extraordinaire. No, I'm just. Hey, I'm very humble. I'm very, very humble. So yes, I am a poet, spoken word artist, host, creative program director of Boston Pulse Poetry, which is a program that. Anyways, I'm just a poet for today. Born and raised in Boston, Roxbury, and have lived around and in the area ever since, obviously, since I'm born here. Been doing spoken word or writing since first grade. It was really Roses are red, violets are blue. Didn't start performing until about high school, after, middle school, when I had like a short stint of, I can't even say a short stint. It was a stint of when I was very depressed and very suicidal at the time, and I wrote what I thought was going to be my last poem, and somebody inspired me to continue to keep writing after asking me like very, very genuinely to keep going. You already see it. I can be reached at Stayin, STAYIN, on 94 at gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Just put in D.Ruff, like the old Rough Riders, and you'll find me somewhere. Thank you.
I'm not going to be using this mic. I think everybody can hear my voice. I'm just going to use it right now, just so I can do my values and my rules real quick, so we can have a little exchange real quick, okay? So I'm used to an active listening community, right? And what that usually means is if you watch certain movies and they portray like a Black Baptist church when they are hearing the pastor saying whatever he needs to say and the congregation is listening and they are feeling what the pastor is saying, you get a lot of amens, you get a lot of claps, you get a lot of stomps, you get a lot of hallelujahs. Now, you don't have to say those same things, but give me that same energy. So if you're feeling something that I'm saying, stomp, clap, shout, do whatever. do your best, you know, give me all the love and all that great stuff. Cool? Cool. So, because as an artist, I want to give you guys a great show, and obviously you guys came for a show, so give me great energy, I give you guys a great show. Great?
Next thing is whenever, like in between my pieces, so there's not that long, awkward, poetic silence, whenever I say if you can feel it, I would love for you guys to reply back, you can speak it, and say it like y'all mean that shit, okay? So we're gonna test this out really, really quick, alright? If you can feel it, you can speak it! Alright, so now y'all got it, y'all know how to say it, y'all got the rhythm of it, cool. Now say it like y'all actually mean it, because y'all sounded like school just now. I just want you to know, if y'all was at a concert, I know how y'all would sound. Y'all would not sound like that, okay? So give me some energy, alright? So, if you can feel it, you can see it! From the depths, that rock bottom repetitive cycle that tomorrow has you looking forward to, so we add vocabulary to our frustrations. And if you can feel it, you can see it! I don't need to go to Iraq, because I'm in a war of my own. Watching a new dream here be shattered with the chrome, because going on is all of this shit that we can't condone, but it's bad when you're with the crew, because there's a Judas in every home. But how are we gonna stop visuals from getting the intellectuals who think we're a bunch of animals because of some individual? This is critical. People don't want to hear any of the spirituals because they're not loving our women when we can be loving these materials. See, in this place, I don't feel safe with gold chains around my neck and wrist. I'm the new American slave. Pride goes amongst my group and with others, but how are we enemies if we supposed to be brothers? How are we hating our women if we supposed to be lovers? I guess we stooped down to disgrace our mothers. See, before this, our ancestors were being whipped on their back. Even though that wasn't us, we still feel that rage from that leather on our back. We still feel the pain because the scars are not done. We're like Kunta in our own ways, trying to run for freedom, but there is none. Everywhere we go, there's dead ends and roadblocks. Certain people going through walls when they're Milwaukee and buckshots. They're quick to catch Kobe, but not the murderers of Biggie and Pac. For this, we can kind of find out who's in it and who's not. And these same people want me to follow in their path because of my light skin. But I can't follow in their path because of my past. Out of my eyes, there were bags. My brothers wore rags, and some of them still get mad because we're glad. Then they wonder why we get stuck in the system. They've been died by a system, get screwed by a system, so we're saying, fuck your system, because I've already been handed a hood death sentence. I don't need to be told with the judge and jury in my presence. See, sometimes I don't want to be me. Then I got Latin people, Asian people, even certain white people that want to be me, but is this something that they see that I'm just blind to? Or is it because they're getting tired of being viewed? See, you want to get mad when I call old authorities thieves, but don't forget they stole me in this land called free, so let's get this straight. This isn't the land of the free. This is the land of the legal criminals, but I'm told I can't leave. But I can't breathe in the truth when I inhale lies. People don't see this, so they swarm to this rotting country like flies. I don't really like them taking what's mine, but is that the capitalist in me or a part of me that needs to die? I can't decide. But I need to stop complaining about me, because there are immigrants that want to be where I be. If you can feel it, you can speak it. Okay, that's the first poem. Go ahead, you can clap. You
come around, you was on mine, make everything feel fine. Very rather small. I'm way too young, yeah. It's way too young, yeah.
Is Jeffrey Lockhart, who I have here playing guitar. I'm so blessed to have him with me and with us tonight. We're going to play 2 songs I have for you. The first one is called Unchain Me. And Unchain Me is about,
And Oklahoma is a unique space in terms of the number of African American towns that were established. Some suggest upwards of 50 African American towns between 1924 and 1928. Reverend S.S. Jones was going around documenting this sort of self-determined, vibrant African American communities. You see the African American educators, doctors, lawyers, landowners, oil barons. And I think that's what's so remarkable about this footage. To think that individuals, how many years out of slavery, are now owning oil wells that are producing 2,000 barrels a day. Is that not the ultimate American dream? Is that not the ultimate American story? It flies in the face of what I think some people consider part of African American history and culture. And I think that that was one of the things that Oklahoma and what S.S. Jones is really kind of showing is that African American history and culture is not a monolith. And in a way, it became kind of like a marketing tool to encourage individuals to migrate, to move there, that this is a place where you can live, you can thrive, and peacefully reside. There were still palpable racial tensions. There are lynchings, there's Jim Crow, segregation, there's all of these things, and you still have an African American community, or many communities, that really speak to the fortitude and resilience of Black people in this country.
Literally being unchained from our daily lives, from, I guess, attachments, from things that keep us occupied and sometimes blocks our purpose. So it's kind of a little message of bringing it back. Because nobody likes to fill a cage. I just want to give it up for you and Tyler for having us at home. I'm dreaming. Like a piece of me, on my soul, he set free. Good enough, good enough, good enough, good enough, good Thanks, Jeff. Good for Jeff on guitar.
Certain kinds of art forms I wanted to be involved in, and they included dancing. I wanted really to be Maria Tall Chief most of my life. The major characters are women, or young women, older women, and they're the ones, they're the same.
And he played paper tag, and I'm in the mood, and everybody got me feeling inspired. So I consider myself more of a storyteller than I do a poet, per se. So a lot of my poetry is very spiritual in nature. So
when did you know that you were going to be a writer?
I never thought about it. I started to write when I was in a lonely place, and I was writing really for me, and not for publication, and not for anybody. It was a way of talking. It was a way of talking then. So I talked to myself.
One love, all human. We just all were trying to figure it out. So I'm gonna read a couple of new pieces that I wrote because I just got inspired with some things that have been going on recently. So this first one is called Meditation, okay? And it's not anything specific, it's just my observation on certain things that are going on. So this is called Meditation. An unstable mind will have you running around in circles or having repetitive behavior. It will put you in an unstable situation constantly. It will have you moving things around that don't need to be moved around just to make you think you need something to do. What are you doing? Is what the unstable mind will ask itself because it has nothing better to do or be thinking. Why are you repeating that? Is what the unstable mind will say. Because it has no quiet time to sit and enjoy life and be in the moment. An unstable mind will worry about death and things that haven't happened yet. It will fill its emotions with stuff. An unstable mind, have you had enough? It gives you tics and makes you cough falsely. It makes you bang dishes and fake illnesses to get attention. There is no quiet in an unstable mind. To the quiet mind is to live tranquil and simple. To be realistic about the things you can't control and tame your soul. To sit and reflect on things you have and to be happy for good health. Stability of the mind is to control your emotions and react when you want to react, not because you're supposed to react. Stability of the mind is to be reflective and calm, to be free and travel the cosmos in your dreams. The unstable mind is a trick. Those who have ears, let them hear. Those who have eyes to see, please see. The unstable mind is going through death.
So I am an artist in the Boston area. I go by Sleazus. Nice to meet y'all.
Okay, tell me about yourself.
Tell you about myself. Let's see. I like to have a lot of fun. I would say an alcohol connoisseur, not an alcoholic though. Don't think that. Got a good vibe about me. Man, I'm just It's me.
What kind of singer, rapper?
Rapper, model, I audio record people. What else do I do? Anything I can get my hands on, really. I really don't care.
Okay, so people want you a Renaissance man.
Of course, yeah, man. I like to get into it all. I just dive into it.
Okay.
What I do.
And how do people contact you?
So Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. At name is SleaZyomi. That's Sleazyomi. Again, SleaZyomi. Me, I'm gonna be performing my ass off. Lots of energy. Give you some really good songs, really good vibe. Hope people enjoy the show.
Sylvia, thank you.
No problem.
Stay black.
I appreciate it, man.
Really awake? Yeah. Okay. So, I think it's time for some hip hop. Okay. I want to get some hip hop. So, could you cue my hip hop artist? I love this song. Thank you, DJ. I love this song. Hey, what's going on, y'all? Good to see so many beautiful faces tonight. A lot of new faces, a lot of faces. Again, I go by Sleazus. I'm a nice guy. I got a nasty side. Try to get that out the way. I like to have fun. I like to turn up. I like to look nice and do nice things. Be fresh. DJ. JESS. Start us off, please. Bad juice. Shorty, I got bad juice. Bad juice, look at me, dragging out the damn room. Bad juice, no way that I can lose. Check the flag and I'm in first. I told you I got bad juice. Shorty, I got bad juice. Passion fruit, give me a boost. Swagging out the damn room. Bad juice, no way that I can lose. Check the flag and I'm in first. I told you I got bad juice. Bad y'all, nah. Told you I got bad juice. Feeling like I'm super bad. Not a thing I can do. Bad juice. Flavors out the wall. So like, who the fuck I think I am? I think that I got bad juice. If you imagine, sleazy off the great goose, no snakes in my grass. I fought a dog because it had bad juice. Can't do not to you. You think that is magic, but no, it's just bad juice. Shorty, I got bad juice. Passion fruit and me a boost. Swagging up the bad juice. No way that I can lose. Check the flag and I'm in first. I told you I got bad juice. Shorty, I got bad juice. Passion fruit and me a boost. Swagging out the damn room. Bad juice. No way that I can lose. Check the flag and I'm in first. I told you I got bad juice. My iPhone. Every time I try to get the bad juice, when I look for TV, get a bite in the damn. He got my head, shoot like, oh, he got mad juice. I got mad juice. All the time they thought I was right. It's the damn truth. So I'm smoking open claims. It's the damn food. Ducking like a giant. You don't see me with a blues too. Got a bit of vodka in my cup. That's my damn juice. Give me a book. Damn.
And then later I've written more. Stop. I didn't want to think any other way. It was so terrific to be able to see the world that way. It was coherent. Things that were disorganized for me before made sense when I manipulated it. I saw colors and remembered music, and language, all the things that I guess had made life interesting, I could employ. And it was just a way of thinking and a way of feeling. It was a way of life. I even know.
Dark up to the stage. I'm light skinned, y'all can see me. I'm gonna read a poem for y'all, if that's all right. You ready? All right. This is a lonely, miserable city, the West Indian immigrant said. Nobody here really does accept you. You didn't have no sort of family life for us here. These words were written, unbelievably, in 1955, before my memory begins, before my father, an unrelated West Indian immigrant, was born in the colony that became the independent nation of Trinidad and Tobago. Woo! These words were from Sam Selvin's novel, The Lonely Londoners, an account of the first generation of West Indian immigrants leaving the colonies to settle in the United Kingdom, the so-called Windrush era. But damn if it doesn't apply to Boston too. I mean, Boston, a city where a full third of the foreign-born population claims Caribbean origin. And yet, too often, isolation is the norm. But you know, anyone from Dorchester? Nobody from Dorchester. One person. Walking down Columbia Road in Dorchester and seeing a Dominican spot, then a Haitian spot, then a Cape Verdean spot, then a Trinidadian spot, has got me thinking. If the internet is to be believed, there is one thing that unites all people of color. Rice. Now, that statement is made with good intentions, but it's a little inaccurate, all right? I've seen all types of white people attempt to and mess up rice, whether there's a bag involved or not. See, us ethnic people, we don't just love rice, we don't have to fight about rice, right? Brown versus white, basmati versus jasmine, whether you wash your rice before cooking it or not, I'm firmly in camp. Don't wash it, don't send me email, please. But you know what? I have an addendum to this truism. You know those burnt bits of rice that stick to the bottom of the pan when you cook it? What do you call that? Do you have a word for that in your dialect? Just shout it out. What was it? What was that? What was the word first? No, what's your word? Pegao, right? A Dominican might say gong. A Japanese person says yakimeshi. An Iranian says tadi. For an Indonesian, intip. A Jamaican says bun. There's a word for this in every language except English. Which is interesting, right? Now, I guess English-speaking cultures don't make anything of this in and of itself. I mean, a Western person considers this refuse, unpalatable, a mistake, much as they consider us people sometimes. No, the best way to translate this into English is to say scorched rice. And in the spirit of that which brings us around the table to eat this dish, let us say grace. For those among us who were left at the bottom of the pan to rot, we say our prayer. For those among us who have been tossed away without our full potential being recognized, we say our prayer. For those among us who submitted to the fire to make us who we were meant to be and ended up scorched instead, we say our prayers. We were meant to be wayward. We were meant to be hopeless. We are whole in living in the space between departure and arrival. Never good enough for any one world. The doubly conscious, the perpetually in between. Can you guys indulge me and repeat after me real quick? All right. We were meant to be wayward. We were meant to be wayward. We were meant to be hopeless. We were meant to be hopeless. We were made for now. We were made for now. And if we should fail,
Los Angeles, student right now, but I'm really happy about that. So, I got a song for y'all. It's called Hard to Tell. It's a single out now. Yo, I'm going through this whole like this. I know all the homies out there running bad, building rules and shit. So, this one's for the regular till we die. Let me just set the vortex straight. Got a lot of nicotine in me since my beginning. Been having nightmares with your face ever since. You just sit there, play to celebrate. My daddy wasn't no fit. Too smart to keep my clothes clean. My teachers always used to wonder why I acted. They looked in the basket, they had the facts up. And fuck all the books they used to act up. To the punks that jump, come back and see what's up. And all my old friends, I hope you doing well. It's like a hard thing to tell. And all my old friends, I hope you're doing well, cause life's a hard thing to tell. Till we die, I know we going ride till we die. Once we get going ride till we die. Ride till we die, I know we going ride till we die. Once we going ride till we die. Ride till we die, I know we going ride till we die. Once we going ride till we die. Ride till we die, I know we going ride till we die. Once we going ride till we die. So I guess love anything you do for me. Till God so cold like my jewelry. All you did was just say that you do for me. So I guess you wait and wait to follow me. But mama made me a man on my own 2 feet. At a state, you can never understand how she did. But she had a plan and you had to get. Got a bed before the time. I said all the time. I thought you know you could be my friend. But not too much shit. Not too many friends. Shit's said. Tell me all my old friends. I hope you keep me well. This life's a hard thing to tell. But hey, ma, don't get sad. Hey, ma, don't feel bad. Hey, ma, no, it's not your fault to me. All my old friends understand. Ride till we die. I know we going ride till we die. Once we going ride till we die. Ride till we die. I know we going ride till we die. Once we going ride till we die. Ride till we die. I know we going. I spent too many thoughts on days, what's bright, games and dots and grapes today. I'll rock when I bought the way to rock and place the job. I place a rock and save and set the block. So tell me when you rock and roll, baby, when you come and save me from this fuck world that got me acting all shady. And the only way to live is to get high, place up till I wake up, get by, and you don't sing the song, shake your back. Guess I'll know when it's time for the judgment day. But for now another round, all I have to say. So I wonder when it comes, if your father make me give me a call. And if I'm wrong, then I'll be home. Mama know I had to vote. And if I go wrong, tell me. God get smoke over hell. Honestly, got my soul to hell. All of my coaches go tell me. Till we die, I thought we going ride till we die. Wasn't we going ride till we die? Ride till we die, I thought we going ride till we die. Wasn't we going ride till we die? Ride till we die, I thought we going ride till we die. Wasn't we going ride till we die? Ride till we die, I thought we going ride till we die. Wasn't we going ride till we die? Till we die, till we die. All right, give us 2 minutes of intermission while he sets it up. Every time you're not around,
I get to see both sides.
Toni Morrison, why in a period of 10, 20 years, when many people would say equal justice under the law, better housing, better schools, these are the things we should consider ourselves with, in fact, and perhaps in our fiction. Why is it that you have dared to go all the way out and say storytelling, myth, belief in magic, these are also important?
Well, it's truth. It's not fact. I know, but it is truth. And that's where truth lies, in our myths, in our songs. that's where the seeds are. It's not possible to constantly hone on the crisis. You have to have the love and you have to have the magic. That's also life. And I regard it, even though it may sound as though I'm dealing in fantasy, I don't think so. I find it all terribly realistic because I regard my responsibilities as a black writer as someone who must bear witness, someone who must record the way it used to be, the way it ought to be. I leave to the sociologists, but I want to make sure that a little piece of the world that I knew, a little piece that I knew, doesn't get forgotten.